Good evening, everyone. My name is Abby, and I am a multicultural ambassador for the Mental Health Foundation Australia. We begin today's webinar by acknowledging the traditional owners of the various lands on which we meet today. I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and I extend this respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people tuning in today. On behalf of the Mental Health Foundation Australia and our chairperson, Mr. Vasan Srinivasan, I would like to welcome each and every one of you for attending today's Youth Mental Health Forum. National Mental Health Month is an initiative of the Mental Health Foundation Australia to advocate for and raise awareness of Australian mental health as a community. The MHFA's National Mental Health Month is unlike many other national mental health awareness campaigns. It aims to bring all Australians together in a nationwide conversation about mental health, and we aim to maintain this conversation for an entire month and beyond through a series of various mental health related events. National Mental Health Month is a program that the MHFA is extremely proud of, and we intend to reach out and educate as many Australians as possible to help reduce stigma and facilitate positive and non-judgmental discussions surrounding the important topic of mental health in Australia. With 1 in 5 Australians experiencing a mental health illness, it is time that we give mental health its due attention, and that is exactly what the MHFA is wanting to achieve. Throughout this month, many events have been organised in each state and territory of Australia, aiming to attract and unite Australians of all ages and backgrounds to raise awareness of the need for better mental health for all. This year, the theme of National Mental Health Month is post-pandemic recovery challenges and resilience. This year's theme will focus on raising awareness about mental health in various industries and communities. Each individual has faced, and many are still facing, unprecedented challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With this theme in mind, we aim to extend our campaign even wider than previous years, with events planned to embrace many different community groups and people of all ages walking on the road to recovery and fostering resilience. I would like to introduce Mr. Julian Hill MP, Federal Member for Bruce. Julian Hill was elected as the Member for Bruce electorate in the Australian Parliament in July 2016 and re-elected with an increased majority in May 2019. After growing up in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs, Julian graduated from Monash University with degrees in science and law. Julian lived as a single parent for many years with his daughter Eleanor. An Australian Labor Party member for over 25 years, Julian has shown a lifelong commitment to progressive politics, community action, and public policy reform. With a proven track record in local government, Julian was elected to Port Phillip Council at the age of 25 and subsequently became the youngest ever mayor of the city. Julian held several senior positions in Victorian public service, including director-level positions working in economic development, employment, community development, urban planning, local government, migration, and international education. He is a fellow of the Institute of Public Administration Australia, IPAA Victoria. Please join me in welcoming Julian Hill.
Thanks, Abby. Is that working okay? The technology is working?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, good. Always best to confirm.
Of course.
Thanks so much for your kind introduction and for the opportunity just to say a few words at the start of the workshop. If I can also acknowledge the traditional owners, I'm actually coming to you from Canberra, so the country of the Ngunnawal people. I'm a democracy hostage up here for Parliament for another few weeks, but also to acknowledge yourself, Abby, Jim and Vasan from the Mental Health Foundation, but particularly congratulate everyone who's actually taking the time to participate in Mental Health Month and tonight's workshop. I really just want to make 3 points. I don't believe anyone wants a long speech from a politician. Again, you want to get into the workshop, but I just want to make 3 points. We've seen in recent years, pre-COVID, I think it's important to remember the world before COVID, we saw a significant increase in demand for mental health, but most importantly, a community conversation which had emerged, which had never really been part of our country, for so long, but over the last decade or more, we've seen mental health, discussion of mental health and mental health services become part of the mainstream experience of most young people. I think that's a fantastic thing. As you outlined in your long background, I'm very old now, but certainly when I was at school and many people, we didn't talk about mental health. It wasn't given language. People were just supposed to cope and get over things, which is not a healthy way to live. So I think it's a fantastic thing that we've come so far in breaking down the taboo and the stigma in talking about mental health, but particularly want to acknowledge your work because there's still a way to go in many parts of the country, and particularly some multicultural communities. I know from talking with younger people in certain communities, a bit of work to do with their parents as well. The second thing that I want to note, though, is that the demand for mental health services and a mental health crisis, if you like, has exploded in Australia and indeed across much of the world in the last 18 months due to COVID and the pandemic. Everyone's resilience has been tested at different times, mine included, as we've all experienced loss of things which we love and we're familiar with, but particularly pay tribute and acknowledge that young people have sacrificed so much. The lockdowns, particularly in the early phases, have impacted young people in incredibly profound ways. And often that was, to be honest, to keep older people who were at most risk in the first phase of the virus safe. And it's a difficult thing, not just missing school and classes. Some people don't mind missing a few classes. I won't hark back to my school days on that front, but missing some of the rites of passage that young people have come to rightly expect, be they school camps or graduations or valedictories, being able to have a gap year, travel overseas, have your formal and, participate and start off on university. All those rites of passage, so many young people are missing. But the data shows that there is a mental health crisis. We shouldn't shy away from acknowledging that and talking about it, be it in loneliness, anxiety, eating disorders are on the rise, family violence, all sorts of impacts, and people are experiencing those in different ways. So the work that you do tonight is so important in giving language to that and giving young people strategies to actually work through this and deal with it and to seek out help. The third and final thing I want to say is this is not unexpected if you look through history, and we need to be prepared, which is why I think Mental Health Month initiative goes for longer than just a week. We need to be prepared that this crisis will have a long tail. The data, I read a book a couple of weeks ago about recovery from crises, and it showed that even in the last pandemic 100 years ago, there was a mental health crisis then that was shown to last for some years with psychiatric admissions. They didn't have the discussion and the culture and the services that we perhaps have today. And so I'm sure we'll get through it, but we need to keep investing, supporting each other, and also expect our governments, as the state and federal government have done, to invest in mental health services and also supporting young people. I think the Victorian government's initiative of tutoring for young people is terrific. So they're the 3 points I wanted to make. We're breaking the taboo. Your work tonight keeps breaking that taboo. We are experiencing a crisis. It will go on for some time. That's not unexpected. But it's World Mental Health Day also this Sunday. And I'd encourage everyone to make a mental health promise to themselves, whatever that might be personally for your own mental health care and well-being, and to look out for each other. So congratulations, and really happy to be able to make a few remarks, but I wish you well for the evening. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mr. Hill, for joining us tonight. A token of our appreciation will be posted to you. I just wanted to take a moment to ask everyone who's watching, if you're happy to share, we'd love to hear your mental health promise to yourself in the comments. We would now like to play a short video of Mental Health Foundations Australia's 91-year journey. Please join me in viewing this video.
Hi everyone, I'm Vasan Srinivasan, Chairperson of the Mental Health Foundation Australia. It's a privilege to lead this wonderful community-based mental health organisation in its 91st year of establishment. The MHFA has grown strength to strength over the past few years. With Victorian Mental Health Month in 2018, the National Mental Health Month occurring in 2019, 2020 and this year in 2021. Last year, COVID-19 did not stop us from achieving our National Mental Health Month campaign. I'm proud to say we successfully shifted many events to a virtual platform, very much being able to pursue our objectives of raising awareness and advocating for better Australian mental health. Our primary aim is to reach out to and educate as many Australians as possible, to help reduce stigma and to encourage constructive and non-judgmental dialogue on Australia's critical mental health issue. A highlight of last year's campaign was reaching out to 100,000 Australians all across the country for our National Walks for Mental Health, both virtually through our MHFA app and physically in some states. What a grand success that was. In 2021, with pandemic still affecting many of us, we decided not to give up once again, curating a carefully chosen blend of virtual and physical events for Australians to participate in. This year, we have a new and improved MHFA app, giving people the opportunity to participate in National Mental Health Month from the palms of their hands. This year, theme is mental health and post-pandemic recovery challenges and resilience. Mental Health Foundation Australia is proud to partner with Australian technology business DB Results and take up the wellbeing app Am I OK? to support our members, enabling individuals to regularly check in on a private and secure platform and ask the question, Am I OK? Am I OK also alerts the user when it's time to seek outside help. We thank DB Results for this opportunity to promote well-being and early intervention. This year, we have launched a special initiative, the Mental Health Appeal on the 10th of October, our World Mental Health Day. Through this, we aim to raise funds for the development of a course promoting life and safety in young people. At the MHFA, we pride ourselves in making sure all our programs are for the community and powered by the community. We have a vast growing network of multicultural ambassadors, youth ambassadors, and future leaders who further the community voice in promoting mental health and well-being. Our multicultural network has inspired our educational and multicultural webinars as an initiative to assist individuals cope with success during the pandemic. I would like to take this moment to thank our board directors and patrons, scientific advisory committee members, our wonderful staff, multicultural and youth ambassadors, future leaders, MHFA members and major sponsors for their continuous support to our organization as we continue to work to deepen understanding of the importance of mental well-being and educating the community. Let's work in solidarity for the benefit of our mental health. Thank you, Australia.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Jim Gooden, Vice Chairperson of Mental Health Foundation Australia, to officially welcome all of you here tonight. In 1987, Jim joined the Mental Health Foundation Australia, and from 1987 onwards, he has served and participated in many organisations and mental health roles, including Chairperson and Vice Chairperson of MHFA, Vice President of the Australian National Association for Mental Health, Director of Tourette Syndrome Australia Victoria, and many more. Jim has also chaired and been a member of numerous advisory and organising committees, including the chairing of Mental Health Week, now known as Mental Health Month in Australia, since 1995. Jim currently chairs the Million Minds Advisory Committee, operating out of Sydney University. The mission's goal is to help an extra 1 million people be a part of the new approaches to mental health prevention, detection, diagnosis, treatment, and recovery. The Mental Health Foundation Australia is playing a major role in this project. Please join me in welcoming Jim Gooden.
Thank you, Abby. That's a very kind introduction. What an excellent video that is of our 91-year journey through history. And hopefully people realise that we are the oldest non-government, not-for-profit organisation in Australia, continuously operating since 1930. Also, thank you to Julian Hill. He's a great supporter of the Mental Health Foundation Australia, and I know a genuine and ardent advocate for better mental health for all Australians in the Australian community. So welcome everyone. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which we meet today. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I would also like to extend the same respects to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples who are with us today. I thank Julian Hill, member for Bruce, Mr. Josh Sachs from Australian Unity, who has taken the time to join us and address us today. And by the way, I am contacting you via Zoom from Wurundjeri lands here in Melbourne, Victoria. Today is a very special event where our wonderful youth mental health ambassadors of the Mental Health Foundation have come together to share their perspectives, particularly through the lens of COVID-19, as Julian has made very clear. Today you will hear from our youth ambassadors on a variety of topics such as help seeking and self-care. We're indeed proud of our youth ambassadors for working together this year to put together this event for you this evening during National Mental Health Month 2021. Talking about the mental health of our young people is vitally important. At the Foundation, we are interested in helping young people navigate successfully through the complexities of life, develop fulfilling relationships, adapt to change, utilize appropriate coping mechanisms to achieve well-being, realize their enormous potential, have their needs met, and develop skills that help them navigate the different environments they inhabit. I would also like to mention this year that the Mental Health Foundation Australia is running a mental health appeal this Sunday, in fact. It's a milestone for the Mental Health Foundation. Beginning this year on the 10th of October, we hope to make this a capstone event for each year to come. This year we are raising funds to develop an evidence-based training program specific to positive and strength-based youth mental health and wellbeing promotion and suicide prevention, primarily aimed at promoting a good life and the safety of our young people. I would like to congratulate the Mental Health Foundation's youth ambassadors once again for helping us to spearhead dialogue about youth mental health and for demonstrating leadership, passion, and conscientiousness throughout their involvement with this program. I look forward to hearing what each group presenting has in store for us this evening. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoy the presentations.
Thank you very much, Jim. I would now like to invite Mr. Mike Hutton-Squire, Executive General Manager, Health Services and Independent and Assisted Living at Australian Unity, to say a few words as our major sponsor for National Mental Health Month 2021. Mike recently joined Remedy Care in 2012 and became Executive General Manager in 2018. Mike's prior experience has been as a senior leader in both the UK and Australia across multiple industries, including legal, finance, public relations, technology, insurance, aged care, pharmaceutical, and healthcare. Mike has experience in strategic and operational management of multi-million-dollar projects and P&Ls, with a strong focus on operating margin and revenue growth through people, process, and systems development. Mike has been responsible for multiple business acquisitions and integrations, large dispersed workforces, and have a keen and understanding of how to successfully operate, optimize, and grow business operations in rapidly expanding industries. Please join me in welcoming Mike.
Thank you, Abby, and thank you for those kind words. Good evening, everybody, especially Vassan and Jim. Thank you, Jim. Josh got subbed out tonight. Jim, he and his wife are having a baby, so you've got me instead. So sorry about that mix-up. Welcome everybody to the Youth Mental Health Forum. I'm Mike Hutton-Squire. I'm the Executive General Manager for Remedy, as Abby said. I'm on Boonwurrung land of the Kulin Nation this evening, and I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present. I'd like to just acknowledge the contribution of the Mental Health Foundation to the well-being of countless Australians over many years, and for bringing us Mental Health Month. And my commendation to everybody involved in the foundation for the resilience shown in continuing to have these amazing gatherings, despite the fact that we normally can't do these, we normally would do these face-to-face. And this is our 3rd year involvement with the foundation, and we're delighted to be a part of it. Across October, we've got a range of events organized to foster community resilience and navigate our way out of the pandemic, which I'm sure everyone is looking forward to. This presents opportunities to promote activities and ideas that we can have a positive impact on our daily lives and the lives of others. In terms of youth mental health, well, we know many young Australians face challenges relating to their mental health, and mental health issues in young people dramatically lowers the quality of life for both those affected and their families. And conversely, good mental health is the foundation for the well-being and healthy development of every young person. This fosters not just the ability to overcome challenges, but also builds resilience and helps shape strong peer relationships. The earlier we start normalizing mental health as a continuum and encouraging young people to talk about their emotions in good times and bad, the better the result will be in the long run. From my perspective, through our Remedy Healthcare program, we deliver a program called MindStep, and we speak to many people about the ways that they manage anxiety and depression. There are many practical techniques that can be very helpful in attaining good mental health, and people often say they wish they'd known about them earlier. And even if we're experiencing good mental health, these strategies can be learned and applied in everyday situations. Learning to better manage times of stress and sadness is relevant for everyone, and it's beneficial to start implementing these skills from a young age. By having the right processes to deal with mental health challenges, young people can recognize when and how to use these methods to better cope with stressful situations. Being mindful of setting realistic goals and being fair with the expectations you put on yourself can really help with stress levels. Also, having problem-solving strategies up your sleeve to use in challenging situations can be helpful. Like asking yourself, what is in my control in this situation, is a great question to ask and helps you decide where to put your energy. It's also really helpful to have some relaxation techniques to fall back on and a balance in life between the expectations other people put on you and the ones that you might put on yourself. Knowing that things like social connections, getting good sleep, and looking after your exercise, these are the sorts of things that can be just as, if not more important, than meeting a deadline or getting a higher distinction on that assignment. It's about looking at the balance and making sure all parts of our lives get the attention that they deserve. Indicators of mental health issues, particularly amongst young people, may not be easily recognized by others. For example, an oversleeping teenager may actually be battling depressive symptoms, or complaints of stomach aches might actually be a sign of anxiety. If left unaddressed, what may seem to be minor symptoms of low mood, stress, or worry can actually lead to significant concerns during adulthood. However, if symptoms are detected quickly and treatment is administered, the potential for a successful outcome is really high. Many people say their younger years were their hardest of their lives. So if you can go through that with some extra support, then that sets you in such good stead for adulthood. And in closing, Mental Health Month is an important opportunity to raise awareness about youth mental health and the range of supports available that can improve well-being. We recognize and commend the fantastic work that the Mental Health Foundation has achieved in this regard, and we're very proud to be associated with the foundation. Australian Unity is a company founded on social values and community contribution, and we're committed to building and promoting positive mental health strategies. Together with our partners, like the foundation, we will continue to identify and help solve the health, care, and well-being needs of the broader community. My thanks again, and I wish you well for the forum this evening. And thanks again for allowing us to participate in this wonderful event. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you very much, Mike, for joining us. And we appreciate Australian Unity's continued support to the Mental Health Foundation Australia. As mentioned previously, this evening's event has been put together and will be presented by Mental Health Foundation Australia's Youth Ambassadors. Our Youth Ambassadors are a passionate group of individuals who have been working together this year to discuss the future of youth mental health being in Australia. Today, we will hear from our youth ambassadors speaking to different topics surrounding mental health in young people during COVID-19. I will now pass it on to Prachi to lead us through an interactive activity to get started.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. I've just got a bit of a questionnaire, I guess. So if everybody's got a phone around with them, that will be great. And if you guys can get onto this particular website and put the code in, I'll just give you some time to do that before we go to the next few questions. It's all about what we'll be looking forward to in this workshop. And hopefully you guys can find something you relate to. Yeah. So I'm just going to go to the next slide. The code will still be there, but I will speed this up a little on this side. So in which ways have you interacted with your friends and family throughout COVID? I know face-to-face may have been difficult throughout lockdown, but oh wow. So you can see how it's all changing as on live time. You can see that letters is right in the bottom. Nobody has been sending many letters recently. Phone calls been very, very popular. Text messages through Messenger, Snapchat, Instagram, I'm guessing, for a lot of us. And I'm surprised to see face-to-face has been up there as well, provided that many of us have been in lockdown for the last, I don't know how many months. I am going to go to the next question. So what have been some of your silver linings of your COVID experience? Like what has been getting you throughout the lockdowns or the restrictions? Anything of that sort? Just write down your answers. We can see if somebody's got a similar answer to you. Netflix, oh yeah. Has anybody watched Squid Games yet? It's been very popular. Forced me to practice self-care and show me the genuine importance of it. Yes, I think a lot of me time throughout lockdown especially has been very, you're forced to have a lot of me time, I think, throughout lockdown. Face masks and Zoom calls, yeah. Learned to understand where my emotions stem from and loved my younger self who was hurt. I'm glad that you had that time to do that. Appreciating nature more, yes. I've seen a lot of Netflix and food. Exercise, I have not been one to exercise. I've been so lazy. Time with pets, walks in nature, gaining my community service deployment. That's amazing. Congratulations. So I'm just going to go to the next question. I can see there's a lot of different things which have been a silver linings for many of us. So throughout lockdown and COVID, who has been part of your support network? And it could be anyone. It could be your cat. It could be your dog. It could be your next door neighbor. It can be your friends, doing craft, colleagues, chooks. A lot of cat, family. Yeah, I mean, you're forced to be with family. You can see family and cat is really big up there. A lot of people, friends, teachers. Oh, wow. We have a very strong support network for many of us. And I think like for some people who have never understood who their support network is and don't know how to reach out, this can give you some ideas of who you could reach out to. Which social media platforms are your favorite? Which one do you use the most? I did not realize that Discord was very popular, but apparently it's rising. Some people are using it for classes. I learned that yesterday, actually. Reddit, Tumblr. Tumblr's so different. I've never used Tumblr before. So we can see that Facebook, Instagram, yeah. Ooh, so Facebook is rising. Instagram, Zoom. Yeah, I think we're forced to use a lot of Zoom, especially because of classes and school. TikTok, yep, I'm one to always continue scrolling for hours, and then I get that person being like, you should take a break now. LinkedIn, Twitter, WeChat, Twitch. Not many people using Twitch. Very interesting. Well, I think there's a lot of us who have found some similarities and have understood that this is what our workshop's going to be all about. And these are the questions. If you don't know if any supports and tips and tricks, every group has got to go through different tips and tricks on how to find a support network, how to work with social media, how it will help you with your mental health. So I hope you guys just enjoyed seeing a reflection of your time throughout the pandemic and having some sort of comfort knowing that you're not the only one going through particular episodes of using TikTok or Facebook or having random silver linings.
Thank you, Prachi, for that great activity and kicking off today's event. I now invite the next group, Dominique and Akriti, to talk about social health and wellbeing, and specifically how COVID has affected us socially. The social impacts of COVID-19 have been pervasive and such an important topic to discuss.
Sorry about that technology. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Akriti. I'm zooming in from Bunurong lands of the Kulin Nation today. And just a little trigger warning, a couple of the topics that we touch on like now or over the course of the night might be slightly triggering or slightly sensitive topics. So if you do need to step out at any point or take a break, that's totally okay. So the first theme that we'll be talking about is revolving around social health and well-being. And when we talk about that, we're really talking about a person's level of support from the people and the institutions around them. It can also be defined as our ability to interact and form meaningful relationships with others, and possibly also how comfortably we can adapt in social situations. Social health and well-being also has a direct impact on our mental health, emotional health, and physical health. Next slide, please. So before lockdown, if I said social life, you all might have thought something along the lines of the two images on the sides of the screen. But now social life might imply an awkward night on Zoom filled with awkward silences. I might begin by speaking to my personal experiences on how COVID has impacted my social health. In 2020, I started at a new school, which meant new teachers, new friends, new surroundings, and completely different school dynamics. And a month later, I was thrown into lockdown behind a screen. On top of that, my Year 10 camp was cancelled twice, which was absolutely devastating. Like, yes, it's something to joke about the first time around, but the second time, it's really, really detrimental to our social health. And this really limited my ability to form new relationships and develop meaningful connections with others. And this reflected in my social support network. And I'll be talking about the importance of reaching out to loved ones a little bit later on. I think the most crucial thing that COVID has stripped us of is something that really enhances our ability to foster meaningful connections and relationships, and that is physical spaces. And I'll elaborate. In a physical space, for example, our best friend's birthday party, many of us would talk to someone that we've never spoken to before, like that guy you've seen in the hallway or that girl in your maths class. But online, nobody would text a stranger, and that's not safe either. Being deprived of the opportunity to form relationships in a physical setting has had adverse effects on our social health and well-being. And these effects may also hinder the wholesome development of youth in the long term if we don't do anything about it. So in the return to, or sixth return to, schools, workplaces, etc., we need to be prioritizing social health and well-being. Now I'll throw to Dominique to talk about her experiences before we get into some tips and tricks to improve your social well-being, even if we are stuck in lockdown.
Thank you so much, Kriti. I just wanted to say I'm Dominique and I'm zooming in from Betty Eagle Land. So I'm also going to touch on my personal experiences and the effects of lockdown on my own mental and social well-being. So where I am in Sydney, we are currently in our second lockdown. And this has had grave impacts on social health and well-being for a lot of people that I connect with and communities in general. And so in 2021, I experienced the transition into year 11 and a different campus. And we are now in lockdown, so that meant that we had to transition to online learning, which, as I'm sure many of you know, has been a struggle, to say the least. And then additionally, it has affected the small things, the little things in life that bring us happiness. So things like grabbing a coffee with a friend or going out to brunch is something that we're no longer able to do. And many of us have faced limited social interaction, which has definitely had effects on our mental health and physical well-being. So to combat social isolation and to connect, so many more people within this pandemic have turned to social media, which evidence supports negatively impacts mental health. So as humans, we are social creatures, and a lack of connectivity in physical spaces can be detrimental to mental health and overall well-being. This raises the importance of striking a balance when using social media as a means of connection. There have been grave impacts on socializing, and a lot of people I've spoken to have actually told me that they developed social anxiety after the first lockdown as social interaction was severely limited. Now, this is something that we have to continue to address and combat. And then also on a more serious note, we need to address the grave effects COVID has had on social health and well-being, one of which is increased rates of depression and anxiety globally. There are limitations to current research on the extent of these ramifications, and although particular studies state there is no certain correlation between suicide rates and lockdown, it is important to note that these studies were predominantly conducted in developed countries, and we must continue to monitor the effects of COVID-19 and lockdown on individuals' health, physically and socially. Additionally, if this slide has raised any personal concerns for you, feel free to call our helpline 1300-643-287, and we will detail the helpline and how we can help you in some later slides. So again, using social media, sorry, I might just pass on to Akriti for the next slide.
Okay, we'll do that then. Okay, so I might just start by offering some tips that you can follow to work on your social health, even if we are stuck in lockdown. The first is to develop your communication skills while you're stuck at home. So you can do this by trying to talk to a mirror or record yourself. And while you do that, try to practice your body language and pay attention to your vocal tone as well. And this will also help you to recognize body language and tone in other people. You can also immerse yourself in nature. So go for a walk or take a bike ride or walk your dog and soak up some sunlight, as sunlight has been scientifically proven to improve your mood, which will help you to have healthier interactions with others. You can also reach out to your friends or colleagues and of course your loved ones and strengthen your social support networks, because a strong social support network will have immense benefits for you and your overall social and well-being. It's imperative to maintain your connections with your loved ones and those that make you happy, especially in the current climate. The fourth tip, sort of similar to the third tip, is that a strong social support network doesn't necessarily mean a large one, and this is a really important distinction. All of us may have some unhealthy people or unhealthy relationships in our lives, and sometimes letting go is the best option for ourselves and our social health. Most importantly, you need to love and respect yourself. You might be thinking that there's no connection between social health and self-love, but there is, and there's a major link. Our level of self-love defines how we live our lives and how we treat ourselves. And a lack of self-love may lead us to make poor relationship choices or may translate as anxiety in social settings. So don't be too hard on yourself. I'll throw to the next group for the next theme now.
Thank you, Dominic and Akriti. The social impacts of COVID-19 is something we're going to see for an extended period of time, and it's such an important topic to discuss. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And on that sunlight topic, I encourage everyone, if you've got a window near you, open your windows during the day. It makes you feel so much better. I now invite the next group, Janal and Prachi, to talk about social impacts further, specifically the social media impacts on our well-being.
Hello, everyone. We'll be speaking about social media and the impacts on our well-being. Next slide, please. Our relationship with social media has been a bit of a roller coaster during these times due to the impact of COVID-19 as more people stay home and have no choice but to stay attached to our screens. The change we've all been going through have affected us in many different ways, some good and some bad. Next slide, please. So first off, we'll start off with presenting you the team, the four of us. Prachi and I will be speaking with everyone for today. I have an average daily screen time of 30 minutes on the phone and up to 8 hours on the laptop, mostly being on Instagram and YouTube. Prachi?
Hi, so I'm Prachi. You guys have seen me previously. My average daily screen time is up to 4 hours, mostly on TikTok and Messenger. Yeah, and we will be telling you, whoever put a presentation together, Adam and Ella, they weren't available today, but we will also be explaining their screen time usage. Yeah.
Yep. So Adam has an average daily screen time of 1.6 hours on his phone, mostly on Instagram.
And Ella has an average screen time of 5 hours on her phone and up to 7 hours on her laptop, mostly on TikTok.
So with this, we can already see the variety of different times and levels as we watch our phones throughout the day. Next slide. So we've highlighted 5 of the key positive impacts of the increased phone usage hours during the pandemic, where social media has actually been a source of connection to the world, as well as an effective coping mechanism. With our phones, tablets, PCs, and many other technology devices, we've all been keeping up to date with one another through social media, such as Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and FaceTime for those with Apple. And so that's allowed us to be able to connect to others and stay, being able to talk to more people. As well as entertainment, we can enjoy endless sources of entertainment in forms of Netflix, Stan, Amazon Prime. I'm sure all of you are very familiar with those. We are also able to get regular updates from what's going on around the world and stay connected to our community and be able to stay in the news and stay in the know. Sorry, next slide, please. Next off, we have the fact that social media is a platform for creativity where we can still show to the public what our talents are and display it to people and family, friends, and people we know on social media. And also social media has been a help to education where we've been able to talk to teachers and have live interaction with them on Zoom, Google Teams, Microsoft Teams, and the familiar ones that we all know. Next off, we have Prachi with the problems that's been caused from the social media usage. Next slide.
As much as I love using my phone and scrolling through TikToks and Insta, Facebook posts, there are times where I personally feel like I'm uncomfortable with the posts I interact with, the unreliability of the source of information given to us, and the many conflicting opinions of many social media users. I am almost certain that these problems are not only limited to me. There is an increase of fake news, speculation all over our social media, such as TikTok, where information seems too real to be fake and causes us to truly believe the information we receive is factual. Next slide. Furthermore, due to easy access to a wide audience on social media, it's becoming increasingly easy to pose as a real specialist and give random advice, such as a particular diet to lose weight being given live to. I don't know how many of you guys have seen. So like for me, I've been using TikTok a lot. I keep on getting these ads, or there's like lemon water. If you drink this, you can lose weight. And they do it with a random specialist, but it's not actual real facts. There's no scientific research to prove it. It's just someone posing to be a specialist or some sort, making it highly influential on all of us to believe something that could be potentially harmful for our health. Social media does put this unrealistic pressure to act in a certain way, to look a particular way, to interact with someone in a particular way. Having that pressure can be very exhausting and frustrating at times. The idea of always striving to be perfect can spiral all of us, and for some of us, it can lead or strengthen development to mental illnesses such as anxiety, depression, and eating disorders. Social media can be very problematic as it is a means to put out our beliefs and opinions and pose it to be our own version of truth. Sorry, 1 second. Meaning that every single user's truth has bias attached to it, and we are very susceptible to believe everything we see and hear. Social media is not the only way to be aware what's going on. Next slide. However, there are positive ways to interact and use social media, and you can now look forward to understanding these tips presented by Gina and myself to create a healthy balance in your lifestyle.
Yeah, so in order to avoid whatever of the problems that have been caused by social media usage, we have to make sure that we maintain healthy boundaries between the people that actually might have an unhealthy sort of behavior or that have this toxic effect on you in your life. So for example, that one person you don't particularly enjoy conversation with, you can maybe decide to turn away the phone for an hour or so, or maybe slightly delay your response to that exact person. We can also ensure that we're taking frequent breaks from our phone, where we actually take that break and take that advice from TikTok when it tells you to put your phone down. Maybe you could try doing that next time when you're on your phone, on Instagram, on TikTok. Follow that advice. And lastly, another way to use social media in a positive way is to actually follow a positive source, where you can potentially go to OnePoint, which is an actual website which is hosted by MHFA, which allows you to have more information about how we deal with our mental health and how to keep our mental health positive and have a good impact on our lives. Next slide.
So there are many ways to disconnect yourself. I think one of the main things we all forget is that with social media, you do not need to reply straight away, which is a big advantage because in real life, when you're talking to someone, you feel like you have to talk to them straight away. But with the message, you can mute notifications if you don't feel like talking to someone. By muting notifications, you're putting your phone away. You won't be alerted that the message has come through unless you check your phone again. You can unfollow accounts that do not spark joy anymore. I feel like personally, I used to follow a bunch of accounts on Instagram when I thought I was inspired by them. But over time, as I've grown up, I have found that I don't relate to them anymore and it doesn't really spark joy. It's just there, sometimes making me feel worse about myself. And it's just there as a medium just to continue scrolling. So unfollow those type of accounts. Set up a screen time. So I will be going through with you, if you don't know how to set up a screen time, how to set up a screen time on each app and putting a restriction on either app. When it's like 20 minutes on Instagram and it locks you out after 20 minutes. When you find yourself having an unhealthy habit of whenever you're bored, just picking up your phone and scrolling right through it, because I'm sure we've all been there. And find a new hobby. I know for many Victorians who are listening out there like myself, finding a new hobby might be boring now because it's our 6th lockdown and it's like, what more can I do? Like, I'm sick of it. But challenge yourself to be like, today I made a new goal, and if I reach this goal, you earn the privilege of using your social media again for the day. Make it a reward system if that's what works for you. Next slide.
So here we have a couple of tips that Ella, one of our members, have given up for us who are using Instagram or other social media that follow on from Prachi's tips as well. And we can probably go through them in another time. And if you have your phone at the moment, maybe you should follow along. Next slide.
So I'm not too sure if all Android phones have this, but all iPhones do have the ability to go into settings and you press screen time. And then it comes up with your daily average of, so you can see in Ella's, it was 4 hours and 1 minute for the week or for the day. And then on the bottom, it has different functionalities, which Gina will continue saying. On the Android phone, if you go into settings and you search up digital well-being, you press on that button. Not all Android phones will have it, but some will. And it will come up with essentially the same thing with your daily average and a bunch of different functionalities, which now Gina will explain what they would do.
Yep, so some of the main functionalities of these settings is that 1, downtime, 2, app limits, and 3, communication limits, where these 3 options all place a limit on different types of things. So first of all is the actual putting down your phone and being unable to access any functionality in your phone. That's the downtime. And 2, app limits, which limit you from using any specific apps in your phone, such as Instagram, Facebook, the ones we're usually obsessed with. And number 3, the communication limits, which limit you from being able to talk in a specific amount of time. Next slide. So we will talk about a couple of fun facts. Prachi's fun fact is that during lockdown, her screen time was increased up to 50 hours compared to her usual 10-hour weekly screen time, which has gone up by 400%. And we kind of all feel guilty about that.
Kind of embarrassing, but I'm pretty sure there's everybody else out there who has something similar to me. Gina's Instagram. Gina has actually a love-hate relationship with Instagram, where she constantly debates whether to delete Instagram or continue scrolling for 2 to 3 hours at a time, multiple times a day. So I'm pretty sure there's some of us out there as well that could relate to that. Next slide.
And as we have mentioned at the start of this presentation, MHFA has recently launched MIOK, which is a mobile application, and it's a health and wellbeing mobile app, which is encouraging individuals to check in on their well-being. And it's a simple and non-invasive, non-intrusive kind of support where you can store personal data and it's all securely in that device.
Next slide.
Next slide, please. And we also have eSafety Commissioner, which is a very helpful website where you can access more tips and tricks on how to maintain a positive relationship with your social media and your mobile devices, and as well as your community and your social support. Next slide.
A bit of a shameless plug while we're talking about social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and if you have LinkedIn as well on LinkedIn. And with that, we will follow up with the next group. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Gina and Prachi. The way we use social media and the internet has changed so drastically over the last 2 years, and it's so important to reflect on how it's impacting our well-being. I actually just looked at my screen time and I don't know what's worse, how much time I spend on TikTok or how much time I spend looking at my emails. I'd also love to hear, Prachi and Gina touched on hobbies, what hobbies you guys have taken up in lockdown or what hobbies you would like to take up. I now invite our next group, Dominique and Alex, who will be talking about help seeking.
Hi, thank you so much. Would you be able to put our slide on, please? I think that was from the last presentation. Next slide, please. And next slide, sorry. Okay, so today Alex and I are going to be touching on help seeking and the importance of help seeking. So first and foremost, why is help seeking important? So 5 million Australians are affected by invisible disabilities, and this label does encompass mental illness. So Better Health has found that 1 in 5 Australians experience some form of mental illness every year, and about 45% of Australian adults will be affected by mental illness at some point in their life. Anxiety, mood disorders such as depression, and substance use disorders are the most common mental illnesses experienced by Australian adults. Furthermore, Beyond Blue has revealed that over 75% of mental health problems occur before the age of 25, and young people are less likely than any other age group to seek professional help. Additionally, the rate of suicide among Indigenous Australians is significantly higher than their non-Indigenous peers. So seeking mental health supports benefits you and your loved ones, and also destigmatizes getting treatment for mental health challenges. Next slide, please. So where can you go for help? So these are just a list of a couple of different resources. We will go through the formal supports in more depth in the next slide, but basically for formal support, you can see your GP, you can seek psychological support or see a counsellor or social worker. And there's also online chat support services or telephone support services. So here I just thought I would touch on the Mental Health Foundation Australia's Multicultural Mind Helpline. So the Mental Health Foundation's psychologists and counsellors are trained, empathetic, and culturally sensitive, and can help you navigate the mental health sector and access services that benefit you. Next slide, please. So these are some of the formal supports, and basically we will detail them in more depth in a following presentation. But I basically just wanted to go through some of the supports and how they can actually help you. And hopefully, if you are watching this and you can hear something that is tailored to your needs, then you can take something away from this presentation. So psychologists can help with anything from everyday concerns like stress in relationships, as well as mental health challenges. Social workers provide their clients with practical support. And then services like Kids Helpline, Lifeline, and Beyond Blue can help you in your time of need. So additionally, a GP can refer you to psychological supports, and support groups can help you access other people with shared experiences. So we also acknowledge mental health concerns do not discriminate, and a diverse group of Australians are impacted by mental health challenges. I will now pass over to Alex, who will highlight some of the support services available to individuals a part of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community.
So next slide, please. So thanks, Dom. So Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people aged between 18 and 24 are reported to have higher levels of psychological distress than non-Aboriginal people of their same age. 3 in 10 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in this age group have a higher or very high level of distress compared to 13% of non-Aboriginal people. 18 to 24-year-olds living in remote and very remote areas report lower levels of distress compared to other Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islander young people. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are hospitalised more often for a mental health related issue. More than 8 out of 10 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people aged between 12 and 24 are hospitalised for mental health related issues relating to one of the 4 conditions, which are psychoactivity, substance abuse, neurotics, stress-related disorder, schizophrenia spectrum disorder, and mood disorder. Mental health is a part of a young person's life experiences. So next slide, please. So I just thought going part with this presentation, I'd highlight a couple of the programs that are out there offered to Indigenous youth. So the first one, obviously, as we can see, is the Black Dog Institute and their mobile app, iBobbly. So what is iBobbly? It's a social and emotional wellbeing self-help app for young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples aged 15 and over. Its aims are for people 15 years and over who are feeling sad and down, might be having thoughts of hurting themselves, and having access to a smartphone or a tablet or iPad for data for downloading. So some of the main features are How Do I Feel, which walks you through a self-assessment and gives you feedback about how you are going, allows you to keep a mood diary to see how you are tracking. The stuff I can use teaches you how to manage your thoughts and feelings, including any suicidal thoughts. This section also helps you identify characteristics you want to stand for and encourages you to set realistic positive goals. How am I going to beat this? This section helps you create your own personalized action plan and gives you the tools to monitor your progress and help. It provides you with additional help and support options. That being said, I think the video in the next slide might actually be a bit more of a better explaining of the iBobbly. So can we get the next slide, please?
iBobbly has been designed to help young people like you to manage sad and worrying thoughts. Developed by experts in the field and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people from your communities, it's been specifically designed with your needs in mind. It helps by showing you ways to manage your thoughts and feelings, as well as how to decide what is important in your life. Importantly, everything that is seen, heard and experienced in the app is shaped by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community members to ensure that iBobbly is culturally informed and safe. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists and graphic designers created new artwork for the app. Young people gave advice on what language to use, and local people gave their voices for the audio recordings and stories. Using the app will feel like you're having a yarn with a family member. When young Indigenous people from the Kimberley tested iBobbly for just 6 weeks, they said they felt much better after using the app. So if you've been feeling down or having thoughts of hurting yourself, give iBobbly a try. It might just be the support you need to get yourself feeling deadly again. But remember, if your thoughts of suicide or hurting yourself are stronger than you feel you can control, there's no shame in seeking help, and it's important that you talk to someone as soon as possible. Click on the help icon in the top right-hand corner of the iBobbly homepage for a list of help and support options you can contact anytime.
Okay, so next page, please. So another program that I found while doing some research into the youth Indigenous mental health is the Yarn Safe program by Headspace. Headspace has been a major program in the support service in my area of Newcastle. A lot of the events that I do around mental health and other community engagements, I have found that Headspace has been a huge indicator and support network in there. So the program that they have here is the Yarn Safe program, and it was one of the first national Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander mental health campaigns of its kind. It was developed in 2014 in September with 12 incredible Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people from across Australia who continue to be involved in the campaign's development. The campaign was launched in local communities across Australia with a range of material and merchandise distributed across Headspace centres, reinforcing the message and letting young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people know that the Headspace was there to help and there was no shame in talking about it. Following the release of Yarn Safe, Headspace saw a dramatic 32% increase in the number of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people accessing the support centres. So I'll pass back to Dom and we'll go next slide, please.
So in summation, seeking help is greatly important for those with mental health concerns or facing day-to-day issues. Seeking support benefits you and your loved ones and also destigmatizes getting treatment for mental health challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique and Alex, for identifying the importance of help seeking. I just want to quickly say as well, Mental Health Foundation Australia has multiple support groups available. So if you are seeking help, we encourage you to come and join one of our support groups. I now invite our next group, Dominique, Luca and Annie, who will be considering self-care strategies.
Hello everyone, I'm Annie and I'm dialing in from Boonwurrung Land. I'd also like to introduce both Dominique and Luca, and we'll be talking about self-care strategies tonight. So when we think about mental health, often our first thought is how we can help other people promote their mental health and well-being. In some cases, we may spend our time checking in with our friends and family, but not as much checking in with how we are going ourselves. Practicing self-care is so important in not only maintaining mental health, but also in promoting better mental health in the long term, especially in the unpredictable and challenging times that we are experiencing. Maintaining our own good mental health will also allow us to better help others in promoting their mental health. If I could please have the next slide. And the next slide, please. Thank you. So it's very important to get into the habit of practicing self-care strategies consistently to maintain and promote your mental health and prevent poor mental health. There are many different ways to practice self-care, and it's important that we identify self-care strategies that we can connect to and find strategies that boost our mental health and well-being. Next slide, please. And the next one, please. Self-care strategies are simple and can be used by everyone at any time. They increase resilience, they reduce symptoms of mental health problems, and they give us a greater capacity to manage stress. So in our presentation tonight, we'll be going through different ways that you can practice self-care strategies to look after yourself, including physical, mental, social, personal, and practical self-care strategies. I'll now pass it on to Dominique to share more about physical self-care strategies.
Thank you so much for that, Annie. If we could move to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. So physical self-care is of pivotal importance, as poor physical health and well-being can have a flow-on effect and negatively impact mental health. So sleep affects every facet of your existence, and a lack of sleep can greatly impact mental health and other aspects of physical well-being. So adults need an average of 7 to 8 hours a night, and young people need at least 9 hours. Additionally, a balanced diet and adequate water intake can greatly contribute to physical well-being and is a really important element of physical self-care. So studies actually show that there is correlation between gut microbiome and mental health and well-being, which is why we think that a balanced diet and adequate water intake should be prioritized. So thirdly, movement is really important. As we know, movement greatly impacts well-being, and physical activity is a great way to release endorphins. So the health department recommends 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity daily, and this will definitely have a positive impact on mental well-being and physical health. So additionally, connecting with nature is really important. Science supports the notion that spending time outdoors reduces symptoms of anxiety and depression. And now I think I'll pass over to Luca, who will take on the next slide.
Thanks, Dominique. So it's important to know that not all of these mental health self-care strategies may work for you. You need to experiment with these strategies as well as use some you may already have. It's also good to know that these strategies require ongoing work and they're not one and done. So we'll start with mindfulness. And mindfulness can look like taking time out of your day to observe and notice your surroundings and being conscious of your movement. But it isn't necessarily about slow and deep breathing, but what can be, not necessarily about slow and deep breathing, but can be about what you find to be mindful and what takes you away and allows you to relax. I'm an avid cyclist, and when I need to practice mindfulness, I ride my bike often along Williamstown Beach. Members of my family sometimes drive alongside the beach on their way to work, and that's mindful for them. And so meditation and breathing techniques are a good way to relax the body and reduce anxious thoughts by also being mindful of your body. And meditation is an extension of mindfulness. So breathing techniques are a good way to calm your body in an intense situation. And what could be helpful is listening to music in an intense situation, and that helps regulate and slow your breathing and slow your mind. And now positive self-talk means being compassionate with yourself and acknowledge times may be tough, but also acknowledging when you've kicked goals. And in essence, positive self-talk means being kind to yourself and reminding yourself of all the goals you have accomplished when times have been tough. Stress management can mean using strategies that reduce anxieties and relieve unnecessary worry. And knowing what stress strategies work for you to reduce anxiety can be different, and they're different for everyone, and it takes time to find these. What works for me is bike riding and being active, but for other people, they can prefer baths, cooking, music, candles. It's really up to you to find them. Resilience strategies. Having resilience strategies allows you to sit with uncomfortable feelings, but it also means that your discomfort doesn't drive your day. And resilience strategies are about being comfortable in uncomfortable circumstances and not avoiding discomfort. And having a growth mindset acknowledges that there are always ways to develop and consolidate new ideas, but it also means taking risks. Even if they don't work out, you can see it as a learning curve. Now I think I'll pass to you, Annie, for the next slide.
Thanks, Luca. So social self-care. Quality social relationships have been shown to benefit our mental health as it allows us to feel both connected and to feel a sense of belonging. Each of us are different and we each enjoy different amounts of time socializing. So it's really important that we recognize our own minimums and maximums. Setting aside time to properly spend with friends and family can be very re-energizing. It's important that this social time is dedicated and of quality. So for example, when we spend time with friends and family, doing an activity together, catching with each other over lunch or dinner would be quality time spent, unlike scrolling through our phones in each other's presence. At the moment, it may be hard to physically connect with our friends or family, and so video calls can be a useful medium to stay connected. Consider making lunch with a friend over a video call, playing online games like Scribblio, or even running a movie night together. I know it's been touched on today as well, but social media can be a tool we can use to better stay connected, and it's important that we use it mindfully and are able to recognize when it may be starting to have more negative effects than beneficial. So if you're starting to feel stressed after using social media, you experience feelings of inadequacy, in such cases, limiting social media usage, such as through deleting apps, unfollowing pages that are no longer relevant, taking a temporary break, or just putting your phone away for several hours are all effective strategies that you can use. So now I'll pass it back to Luca to share more about physical self-care strategies.
Thanks, Annie. It's important that we maintain personal self-care because you can't pour from an empty cup. So the first personal self-care strategy we'll look at is hygiene, and that can include skincare, brushing your teeth regularly, hair hygiene, but also enjoying a head massage and hair care, bathing regularly, and enjoying hobbies you know you like and help make you feel well. Some ideas could be listening to music, reading, watching films or TV, gaming, drawing or painting, photography, exercise, so boxing, cycling, running, whatever floats your boat. And then it's also important you have independent time. And independent time can be enjoying those guilty pleasures that you know and you enjoy, and knowing that this is right for you in this time. So I think that's really important. So I'll pass to the next slide to Dominique.
Thanks, Luca. Now, I know we've already seen this slide, but I'm just going to go into a bit more depth. So again, seeking psychological support is really important, and psychologists can help with anything from everyday concerns like stress in relationships as well as mental health challenges. Social workers also have a place in the mental health system, and they have a similar role to psychologists, but they offer more practical hands-on support. So social workers can provide their clients with practical support, counseling, information and resources, and emotional support. And then additionally, online chat or telephone supports can help people. So services like Kids Helpline, Lifeline, and Beyond Blue can help you in your time of need. And as we mentioned, Mental Health Foundation Australia has a helpline and a list of resources on their website, which can refer you to a service that is most suited and appropriate for you. So seeing your GP is another form of practical self-care. So your doctor can provide a full medical and help make any necessary referrals to help you maintain physical and mental well-being. Additionally, support groups are really important for practical self-care. And as we mentioned, Mental Health Foundation Australia offers a range of support groups, which can be accessed on their website. So a support group can be a place where you meet people with shared experiences. Support groups also help people to make connections and provide one another with encouragement, comfort, and advice. Next slide, please. Okay, that's all for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique, Luca, and Annie. It's nice to see so many self-care strategies covered. And I think what Luca said was really important. Find a strategy that works for you, but keep working on it. I now invite our final group, Kriti and Arushi, who will be talking about silver linings of COVID-19.
Thank you, Abby. I'm Arushi Malhotra, zooming in from the Bunurong lands of the Kulin Nation. So, silver linings of COVID. The term silver linings itself sounds a little contradictory and slightly oxymoronic. However, what most of us haven't realized is that there are in fact many good things that have come out of this pandemic. For example, although the pandemic unfortunately aggravated mental health issues in our population, It emphasized them. It brought them into light so that those who were oblivious to the issue could finally see the outcomes, causes, short-term effects, and long-term impacts, and contribute to finding a solution to the problems that are the root of the issue. From a student perspective, some of us in this pandemic thrived, but most of us, well, it's easy to tell the story in pictures. Most of us, we either felt like this, or like this, or as though we were carrying a burden of declining grades and marks on our shoulders. Next slide, please. The results of a survey study conducted in the United States found that 71% of students were experiencing increased stress and anxiety due to the pandemic. And many factors that contributed to this stress, also known as stresses, included fear or worry about the student's own mental health and of their loved ones, difficulty concentrating in online learning, disruption to sleeping patterns, decreased social interactions, and increased concerns over academic performance. And these results are valid for student populations all over the world, because ultimately everyone is experiencing something else somewhat similar to those around them, or at least virtually around them. Next slide, please. Nevertheless, there are still many positives that we need to shed light on. The most prominent positive being that students were able to work at their own pace. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, schools have had to constantly switch between on-site and online learning. This has strengthened us as students in being able to use different learning methods and quickly adapt to the changes that are thrown at us. For example, having to complete performance exams in person, but prepare for them online. Completing assessments in part online and part on-site, or running practical investigations for science class as online simulations. Trust me, I know the struggles well. As students, we have shown that we are all capable of adjusting and adapting to face all sorts of challenges. And this improved ability to adjust and adapt has assisted in providing some sense of reassurance in our minds that we will get through this pandemic. On a different note, during online learning, most of us had access to many different modes of support. This included teachers, parents, students, other students, siblings, online school counseling, and a lot more. From firsthand experience, I saw many groups of close friends video calling regularly. Video calling helped them to check in with each other, chat about what's been going on at home and in online learning itself. Along with this, schools were forced to increase their own involvement in maintaining a good mental health, not only in their student community, but also for administration, staff, and teachers. This could have been done in many different ways. For example, by running virtual co-curriculars or activities to increase student-to-student engagement and student-to-teacher engagement, or increasing the amount of hours offered for virtual counseling to students. Another important step that has recently been taken is that in Victoria, the deadline for free, secular, and qualified mental health practitioners to be at every government secondary or specialised school has been brought forward by a whole year. The positive that stands out here is that the government, teachers, and students now better understand the importance of maintaining a good mental health. Mental health is a much more important concept to them, and many more students are beginning to acknowledge that mental health issues are becoming more and more prevalent in our community, and these issues need addressing immediately. Finally, it was not uncommon for schools to not have a centralized learning approach pre-COVID. However, as a result of the chaos that this pandemic has caused in the learning and education system, schools have been forced to take an improved approach to using different apps and technology for learning. Schools have become more focused on the use of centralized learning platforms and portals such as Google Classroom, Compass School Manager, and Canvas. This has really helped us as students to maintain a sense of reassurance and stability. I'll now hand it over to Akriti to further discuss the silver linings of COVID from a non-education perspective.
Thanks, Arishi, for those wonderful silver linings. So other than education, there are many more silver linings that have come out of the pandemic. For example, the pandemic has exposed the gaps in many frameworks and structures, and the most pressing would arguably be the mental health system. Now, I know this doesn't sound too much like a silver lining at all. In fact, if anything, it sounds pretty gloomy. But within these issues, I see immense opportunities. I know this pandemic has had adverse effects on everyone, and nobody can deny that. But we should also not lose sight of the positive changes that COVID has brought. For example, thanks to the pandemic, we have learned about the importance of and how to prioritize self-care, as we talked about earlier, and how to incorporate it into daily life. Our nation's leaders have also realised the importance of mental health, and so every single recommendation from the Royal Commission into Mental Health Report is set to be implemented. This is a big win, a major win for everyone. We've also learnt new ways of doing things we hadn't ever imagined before. For example, collaboration on a large scale has come so far. COVID has forced us to think boldly and creatively in this pandemic when we can't physically collaborate. So we resorted to technology. Now, I know what you may be thinking. When you think technology, you most likely think zombies walking around with their heads in their phones. But the socio-technological landscape has changed so vastly over the course of the 2 years and rather than our phones becoming a reason or excuse to be antisocial in an awkward or uncomfortable situation, and I know I've done that way too many times, our phone has become a popular method of reaching out and connecting with others. In fact, it's the most popular way of reaching out among the audience here tonight, as we saw in the questionnaire at the start. Earlier this year, I participated in the Singapore International Science Competition. Now, normally this competition would have been more slightly restrictive in terms of numbers due to things like accommodation, catering, etc. But because it was held online, it meant that many more talented students across the globe were able to participate. And we could have hundreds of us in the one room to socialize, which meant more people to fill the awkward Zoom gaps and silences. I also took part in an international virtual band, and there were clarinetists like me from Canada, saxophonists from India, flutists from Sweden, and trumpetists from Mexico. Thanks to COVID, we've become an international community, and we've realized the power of technology in increasing global connections and binding people together, regardless of barriers like location. In fact, this webinar that we're in right now is an example of a silver lining. Webinar wasn't in my dictionary pre-COVID, but it's the most popular method of delivery in the current climate. And thanks to COVID, tonight, so many of us can virtually congregate and discuss such an important issue like mental health. Next slide, please. I think that perhaps the best silver lining that has come out of COVID is the connection that has formed between all of us. We've all come to appreciate our local communities, and we've all become more empathetic, resilient, and compassionate. They say that dark clouds come with silver linings, and this is especially true for COVID. While we are all in a storm under a dark cloud called COVID, there are lots of silver linings from COVID, lots of lessons that we can learn, lots of approaches that we can take, and a whole lot of change that we can embrace as a society. On behalf of the youth ambassadors at MHFA, we would like to say thank you and hope that you all found the webinar interesting and useful, and of course, enjoyed the night. Thank you.
Thank you, Asita and Arushi. What a great way to finish the event. Before we conclude, we would like to play a short video on our mental health appeal and walk for mental health events that are coming up very soon.
Over 400 young people lose their lives to suicide each year. This number is 400 too many. This year, the MHFA is launching the Mental Health Appeal on the 10th of October, raising funds to develop an evidence-based training program primarily aimed at promoting life and safety in young people. Join us this October in the fight against suicide. Your dollars and cents will help us prevent. Visit our website for more information on how you can support this cause. We're counting on you, Australia. Australia, are you ready for a challenge, and that too for a good cause? Then look no further. Join the MHFA as we walk for mental health across the country on the 17th of October at 10:30 a.m. in each state and territory capital. Worried about COVID? Well, we've got you covered. We have launched our MHFA app where you can walk virtually, raising funds as an individual or in a team. Visit our website for more information about getting started. So come on, Australia, our journey to better mental health starts with one step.
I'd like to thank and congratulate all our youth ambassadors for their hard work and dedication for putting this webinar together. Thank you to everyone watching for joining us tonight. If you would like to engage in more events during this month, please visit our website at www.mhfa.org.au. I know we've spoken about the benefits and silver linings of social media tonight, but you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you all, and we hope you had a great night.